I think you are able to see my screen, right? Hello?
Yes, yes, we are able to see.
Fine. Okay, let's continue the discussion of the data table demo in detail today. So far we have seen yesterday just how to create data table and how to insert static data into that, and we have seen how to pull data from the data table. That is what we have seen yesterday. So to we continue that one today, right? So today agenda is like a data table, how we have to insert data dynamically. That means that you may be getting data from the screen, and how we are going to insert data to this like this. So right now we are assuming and we are storing some values into the variable, and I'm going to insert into the data table. And apart from that, how to read data from Excel and how to write the data from how to write data into the Excel. That is what today we are going to see that. Quickly, I'm just going to create a new flow chart, data table, data insert data into data table. So the first thing is data table. First of all, let us construct one data table here. How to construct by using build data table? I'm just going to construct data table. Double click this. Here I'm going to use default column and rows. So I'm just simply creating S and O, which should be like integer, and just clicking OK, and just clicking just press, and here I'm just creating one more column name as name with the string. I'm just clicking column name. P, this should be integer and equal. So what I'm doing here, I just creating only table, just creating only schema here. I'm just clicking OK. For this, I just want to create one student. This should be of type data table, right? Bala, you can mute yourself, Bala. Yeah, thank you. So data table. So system.data table. I'm just doing instantiation for this. Okay. Now after building data table, right, we have to give the name for that one. How we have to give? So in the output we have to give dt student. Now we have a one schema which contains the name of that one. Now clear. So what is the next step? So we have to insert data into the data table, right? So let's create variables here. Int SNO int SNO. Here this should be integer. And just give default value 100. Yes name str name. This should be like this, something like okay. And just create one more variable called int fee. So this should be an integer. just give some amount over there. Okay. Now we have done the declaration and initialization. So there are basically, right, I just want to, what I want to do, I want to add data into the data table, right? So we have an activity called add data row, which is going to deal with adding data into the data table. So basically there are two ways to enter data into the data table. The one is array row and next one is data row. So let us go with first of all array row. I'm just clicking here. You just pass the list of array values here. So array is nothing but what? Here, so what is the first column? Int SNO. What is the second column? str. Okay. str name. Then what is it? Int p. Click OK. The variable part. So that's it. So here we have to pass the just variable. So let's take example this NS in SNO name fee. This one you may be getting the data from different web pages or different Excel sheet, whatever it is. So from there, if you want to push it into this one, so make sure that we have to declare the variable where we have to assign the values. So that is what I have done here for time being. So we'll see one example how to read the data from I mean to say that from um, Windows application, how we are going to push it in the data table. So that we'll see once we start with selectors and other stuff. So this is the basic stuff how we have to enter the data into the data row. Now we clear. So it is throwing error. Why? So we have to pass one more thing called to which data table you are inserting data. So here DT student. So I just want to convert one data table to string, right? So for that str out put, so let it be declared. Okay, that's it. Now I just want to print the data from the data table. How we are going to print? So by using output data table concept. So just click here. And what is the data table you want to print? This is student. And what is the text where you want to store the converted thing? str output. Now that's all about this program. Let's print this by using write line or log message or message box. So now this is str output. Quickly save this and run it. Here we go. So we have declared only what? SNO, name, fee. So while designing my data table, which contain only column values, that's all. We only have column, but we don't have data. This data I have inserted dynamically, so by using add data row concept here. So like right now I have inserted only one row. If you want to insert multiple rows, so what we have to do, we have to put it in the loop, for loop or do while loop. So we have to put it in the do while or while loop to push data into. So multiple. I'm going to say that if you want to insert 10 records, yes, I can insert 10 records. So based on the condition, I'm going to push data into the data table. So any queries here? So for data array row, there are two ways to insert data into this. So one is array row, the second one is data row. So we have seen array row concept. So we will see next example data row. For this example, do you have any queries, Bala and Venkat?
Yeah. One. See, you have picked up four components, right? Uh, for the data array model. The
Yeah.
first one is built data table.
Yeah.
So when you picked up that, you create one table for which there you define number of column names, right?
Yes. Yes.
So the table is ready in the built data table part. And then coming to the data row,
Mm.
uh, here you supply the value, right? Add data row, you supply the value,
Yeah.
right? For which you define the value
Mm.
for each column you defined in the built data table part, right?
Yes, exactly right.
And then output data table, again you are trying to you are trying to output the value you have in the table. So
Yes.
to output the value you need a separate kind of variable, or how the output comes,
Yeah, this is a variable only. Yeah, exactly.
separate variable you need, right?
So this is the data table which we are passing as input. This is
Okay.
going to convert into the text. So this text is going to push it into STR output, which have been declared here. You could see here. Here we go. So we have declared here. So I'm just going to push that value into this one. So finally I'm printing this STR output. So which is going to
So
come up NT,
okay, so what Okay, so
uh,
what is my understanding is you create the table, you create the data table, you define all what are the columns you required, the first component, and then you define the values to the columns for which you need one variable through which you are supplying the values, right?
yes. Yeah.
And then to display the value, you need one more kind of output variable, one variable through which you are displaying the value, your
That's
output
right.
the value one by one. And
Yeah.
then again to write the value in the log part, in the output part, you need one more value. So every action you need one variable through which you are performing your actions, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Okay.
So there is a
Okay.
based on our requirement as well.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to understand the basic functionality, because
Yes,
uh,
yes.
if you look at the normal database, insert, once created the table, insert value into the table. We don't use any separate variable to insert the value.
Yes, yes, yes,
We,
yes.
but here, for every action, you create one separate variable through which you are performing that action, whether it is inputting the value or outputting the value, right?
Here, right? So
Yes.
here I don't require even say for static, for example, right? Here we don't require the variable also. You can even directly hard code the values, but that is not a good practice.
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
we
yes.
always have to declare the variable. See, always we are not going to insert the static values, right? So always it's going to be vary. See, if you put it in the loop, right? Let's say
Mm,
example, you're extracting 10 records from any web page or a Windows
mm,
application. So I should
mm,
not hard code it here. So make sure that for each and every one loop, right? So it
mm,
should be different values are coming in from the web page, right? So that time
mm.
what will happen? I have to declare the values and I want to keep on override the existing values and I can print it here. That's all.
Okay.
That we will see. That I'll give an example. We'll automate one small what I'm trying to say, web application, Windows application, where we'll see in detail. Fine.
Okay.
So that's all right. So I'll move on to the next. Uh,
Number one.
yeah, Bala.
Yeah, can you click data table control? Sorry,
Hmm?
but data table control. First one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, can you click add data row? Okay. And variables also, variables. and next control output data table. Okay, yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Fine. So let me create one more flow chart, how to insert data. So we're using data row concept. Fine, the same example, I'm just going to do this quickly. I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. So set a start node. So obviously it is going to set the start node. Here, let me create the variables. So what is that? So dt student. This is going to be like so data table. So here I'm just doing instantiation. Now, sorry. Now we are clear about this. Now what is the next step? So next step is add data row concept. So before add data row, so what is the concept which we have to? Here I have to declare data row. So
Morgan, one question here. So the
yeah,
first one, you are trying to create one data table, and that means one table.
yeah.
But it looks like you didn't define the column names, right? Here.
No, I just defined. I just copied from previous example, right? See, already we have.
Okay. Okay. Only the name you changed, huh? For that table name you changed.
No, nothing. The same name. DT student I have given. Here also it would be DT student only, right? So DT student,
Hmm.
DT student. I'm not changing
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. In the previous slide, you already defined DT student is the name of the table, right?
Yeah.
You just copied and put it over here. Again, it looks like you created the table name. Again, it looks like you created. Is it so? Or?
Yeah. This is a fresh program, right? This is a new flowchart. I'm not using existing flowchart. I'm not working on in this flowchart, right? So when I go back to the next one, right? So make sure that I have to declare this is a fresh program where I have to declare again the same thing like variables and build a table concept.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, so what is that here? I want to declare one data row. So data row, where it is coming from? This is also coming from system.data.data row. So I'm just clicking this and come back to here, assign row. First of
Uh,
all,
uh, Mohan, sorry to interrupt. If you don't bother, can you pause for 2 seconds? I'll back.
sorry, say it again.
Just if you don't bother, can you pause it for 2 seconds? Just I'll back.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Bala. Well, yes, ma'am. Mohan. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, no issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so now the concept is how to insert data row into data table. Now for that, I have created one data row object, data row variable here. Now come back to here. So data row equals to which table you are creating row. So dt
DT
student
student. Yeah.
dot new row. Now this row object, I mean instance is going to push it into data row. Now next step is assign to this dir data row of, okay, I'm defining the columns here. So what is the column? The first column is SNO. Here you can define the values 100. The next thing is dr of, so what is the next column? So a row of, so next column name is name. Here we can pass some value like student name and assign it. So what is the next one? dr of fee, right? Yes, here we can define some amount. So now we have pushed data into the data row. So here I have declared one data row. So this data row should be not, it should be no new row of this DT student. In this new row, I'm inserting the values. So dr of what is the column name SNO. I'm injecting dr the data row of name value, data row of fee value. So what is the next step? So add data row concept. So add data row. So drag and drop the add data row concept. So here you just pass so data row alone. So what is the data row? So dr row. Click OK. And what is the data table name? So data table name is DT student. So this row is going to push it into this table as a data row. So previously we have seen array row concept, and now we are seeing data row concepts. So drag, get the connectivity between these two. So remaining important are same. So what is that? If you want to print data from the data table, so for you can print it so by using output data table. Here we just pass. So what is that? DT student. So what is output? So str. So if you press Control K on the fly, we can create so variables. So obviously, what will happen if you open and see here variable? Str output might have been should have been created here. So what is the next step? I just want to print the data from the data table for see whether the data is printing or printing perfectly or not. So what is this? str output. So very simple steps I have done. I'm just repeating the same now. Here I'm declaring one, I'm building one data table, so which doesn't have the data, and I have given the name for this data table called DT student, and come back to here. So I have declared one data row for that. So I'm just defining a new row from this data student. Now I have a row got created. So in this row, right, so what I'm doing, I'm inserting the values, dr of, how we are insert the data. So dr of column name, dr of column name, like this. So I insert the data into the data row. Finally, this add data row, I mean this row, right, I'm just going to push it into add data row activity. Here I'm just passing what is the data row, that's all. I'm just passing dr row which contain entire information about the first row. Now in which table you are inserting this? and setting DT student. So finally, by using output data table, I'm printing data from this data table. Quickly save this and run it. Here we go. Any queries?
No.
Okay.
So I mean, the intention is to define the value into the data table, but in between there are so many kind of tools required to first define, create the row, and then using that creation of row, we are supplying the value, and then once value is supplied, and then we have to output the row, and then I mean, for adding one more a tool is creating, through which we are adding one more row, one more again value into the add row, again output. Okay.
See, this too is not a mandate always in real time, right?
Mm.
Output data table is not a mandate. It's just we are ensuring that whether data is printing from this data table or not. That is what we are ensuring, right? Always we are going to push this one into normally in the log message itself. This is not
Mm.
always like a mandatory. So this is like add new data row is the mandatory activity which is going to push data to the to
Data
say that
table.
what I'm trying to say data table.
Okay. So, Mohan, is this online is recordable?
Yes, it is recording.
So, so is it possible for you to record and send it back? Because once class is over, we back to our routine work, right? As again, after once we reach the office, we are trying to recollect whatever that we learn. By the time we are only having in our mind 20 to 25% what you have covered up in this session. So we have a
Yes,
recordable, tape or something, a file. We can just rewind, go through it once or twice, so we'll get more clarity. Also, it help us to come back with some of the questions on that next class.
definitely. I'm asking Mani to share this document.
Okay. So the recording is default, right?
Yeah. So please keep it in your mind. So it should not be shareable. So I'm
So
just
can we
yeah.
ask Money to send the file if it is recorded from the class day one?
Yeah, I'm going to ask
Okay.
this.
Okay. Thanks.
So that's it for this data table in session 2 is. Now, the next is right how to read the data from the data table and how we have to what I'm trying to say let us see a few Excel activities on top of it and we'll move on to this.
Morgan, the link one you shared um, contains full of contains the details of all the components, huh?
Yeah, all the activities.
Activities. Okay.
Yeah.
So is it a video or a kind of only thesis
No,
one?
it is only text information. There is no
Text
video file.
information. Okay.
So here, right, we have a few other things like if you want to clear data table, that means that if you want to clear the data from particular data table, so what we have to do, let me create a new sequence data table. So here, right, we have a concept called if you want to add the data to particular data column also we can add it here. So let me continue the old example. if you add one column, right, on the fly, if you want to add one column, yes, we can able to add one column before inserting row.
Mohan, what do you mean by on the fly?
So on the fly in the sense, right, see here, first of all, right, I have created like this, build data table. But if you want to add again columns, right, so by using the dynamically, if you want to add any columns to this, so basically, right, few columns are static, few other columns are dynamically we need to add based on our requirement on the fly. You got my point?
Okay. So the
On
actual
the
meaning
fly,
of on the fly
yes,
is
dynamically. Let's say example. So you may have three columns initially, but right,
okay.
this fourth column is like no. Let's say example. What is that? It is like a course. Course you prefer. Course is the optional one. So for few people, for few persons, it's a mandatory. For few, is not a mandatory. That's the example. Just assume that. You got my point. So
Okay.
to make sure that I just want to add on the fly, right? Whoever required, I want to add that column and I want to insert into that on the fly, right?
Okay.
So I'm just delete this. Here, add data column. So add data column. Go to the column name. So what is the column name here? I just given course. So in which data table you are inserting? So DT student. Now I'm going to insert some values. So what is this? dr row of course. So this data column, right? Here type of object. Okay, see here. So here make sure that we have to select the type of object. This should be a string, right? So now I'm going to add the values here. Course equals to, so what is this? Let's take example MCA. I have defined it. That's all. Add data column. Quickly save this and run it. Here we go. So initially, right, I just created how many columns? 3 columns, but these codes have been added on the fly. So this is for this guy. So I just added one new column and MCA. So on the fly, I just created data column by using the add data column concept. I have added one column name here to which data table and type. What is the type of that one? So whatever when I click on build data table, whatever the options are available, the same options are available when I go ahead with add data column concepts. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Fine. Now we have a few other things like now clear data table. So clear data table is to clear the data from the data table. So let's take example. Your before output, right? It just if you try to clear this, so what will happen? Clear data table. You just pass only data table name alone here. So what is this? DT student But again, you are trying to print the value from here. So what will happen after clearing, right? So can we print the data from there table? No, right? We can't print it. If we save this, so see the outputs. So what with this? So which we are getting only. So what happened? I'm just clearing the values, right? I'm just going to print only the schema of the data table. So that means that I'm clearing the data from the data table. So that is the use of clear data table. So we'll see a few more things like now if you want to remove data column, also remove that by passing the. It's very simple and just drag and drop here. So what is the remove data column? So just pass the column name and column index as well as column name and column index from the which data table. Let's say example. Now we have added course, right? I just want to remove this course. What if I'm going to do this? So what is the column name here? You can pass the column name as course, and here you just what is the data table? Date student. Okay. Now so it just for time being, right? You just disable this, disable activity. So instead, I can going to add it into. Okay, fine. Fine. So I just remove the data column on the fly, right? I just want to remove one data column. So what is the column name? Either you can pass the column index or you can pass the column name. So quickly save this and run it. See here, I have only 3 columns alone. The fourth column which I have added so on the fly, I have removed on the fly itself. So what will happen? So whatever the data which have been, whatever the column which have been add data column that I have removed here. So there are any requirements. See, if you want to remove few data columns on the fly, if you want to remove it, this is the way which we have to remove. The same thing if you want to remove remove data row, we just remove data row is the concept where it is going to remove the data row. Here you just pass the row index. That's all. So row index 0, 1 like this. If you are, you can pass the dr row. Obviously, what will happen? This is going to be removed here. From which data table? That's all. But these things, most probably, we may not be used most of the cases, but we have an activities which we are going to utilize this. So far, any queries? So I'm almost all clear this one. So we'll discuss for each row. It is very, very important. So we'll discuss in next example. So what I want to do now, I just want to create one Excel. Okay. Now I'm just creating some data into here. So actually, right, addition of two numbers. So we can do. So here I'll get like input and how to read and how to write data into the Excel sheet. So that we'll see some writing and reading. Here, so what is the third column? Sum. Here I'm entering some values. So I have some data here. Just save this. So I'm just creating inside this variable demo. Here, this is addition. Now I have created one Excel sheet. Now go back to here, create new project. Excel operations. This is very, very important. Yes. Fine. Here, right, let me create one flowchart addition using Excel demo. Just creating this. You type Excel here. So I told you, right, by default, these Excel activities will not be injected into your activities panel. So what we have to do for this, so before, if you install freshly, right, so what will happen, we have to click the manages. So we have to install UiPath.excel.activities. So make sure that we have to install, so then only we can able to access all the activities from this interop. Okay, so this is going to be available by, if you click on here available, so you just click on the local, in the local, right, so you may find, so in the local you have list of, what I'm trying to say, packages are available. So on time on the sheet here, so the database activities, the framework already been installed. Okay, so FTP file transfer, or if you want to go ahead with the mailing, or if you want to go ahead with the PDF concept, so we have to install all this stuff. So we'll see one by one in our upcoming session. So let us go ahead with only, so what I'm trying to say, for time being, Excel operations. Now there are two ways are available. Read, I mean to say that we have to read the data from the data table, and from Excel sheet there are two ways. So one is read range. Here we go. There are two. The one is from workbook and second is from Excel. So what is the differences here? Let us see in detail. Excel. First, let us go with Excel operations. If you want to deal any Excel operation, so make sure that we have to include Excel application scope. So Excel application scope is like a container where inside that we have to push all the information. So what is the first step? So what is the first step here? We have to be include workbook path. So where is the workbook path is available now? What I'm trying to say here, and I want to read the data from the Excel sheet. So where is my data is present here? So my data is present in the here addition, right? I'm just drag and drop here. Now, so what is the next step? I have read this. So what is the next step? I want to read range activity. So what is a read range activity? Read range is activity which is going to use read the data from the particular Excel sheet. Here, after reading this, right, so we have to go back to the properties. So make sure that we have to give particular data table. That means that we are reading the data from the addition.xlsx, and finally we are going to push it into one data table by using the read range activity. So here, what we have to do, we have to create one data, one data table variable dt, so addition. So here this should be an data table. So what is the scope? The scope should be in addition using Excel, and the default one here, I just want to create instantiation data table. Now, so what I've done here, I just read the data and I want to push it into where you want to push it, data table dt addition. Now what I've done so far, so Excel application scope, if you want to deal with Excel activity, so make sure that you have to include Excel application scope only. So on top of it, I have to push all the activities inside of this Excel application scope. Excel application scope is like a container where it is going to push all the activities inside of this one. And now what I've done so far, I have read the data from the data table. Now, if you want to print this, so what is the way? The same way. If you want to see, I want to see whether this application scope activity exactly, which is going to read the data from the Excel sheet or not. How we are going to test it? So by using the output data table. Then come back here, output data table. The same concept here. So what is the data table? dt addition. So what is that? Control K. str output. Now just print that value. Scope might have changed it for that. So obviously, so click here, variables, str output, right? Just delete this. Str output. So that's it. What I'm doing here by using Excel application scope, I'm just read the data from the particular sheet. So what is the sheet here? Sheet 1. So this is a sheet 1, right? This Excel. So sheet 1, okay. So I'm just reading the, I want to read this data, and finally I want to print, and after reading this entire rows and column information should be pushed it into where? Should be pushed it into data table. That is what read range is showing. Read range output is what? Read range output is data table. That is called. Okay. So we have created one data table here that I have been assigned to here, and for time being I'm just removing the headers and click save and click run. See here. So I'm just getting, this is my column headers, number one, number two, sum. But why it is throwing a default headers? Yes. So read range activity, which is going to throw default column name, that is a column 0, column 1, and column so on. Okay. If we don't want the default headers, what we have to do? We have to click on the read range and we have to click on the add headers. So obviously what will happen here, so whatever the default column which is throwing from read range, I don't want, I need my columns alone. That's it. Quickly save this and rerun this flowchart. Go back to the output. Here we go. This time I'm not getting data from this too. So for any queries?
No more.
Good. Now I want to do the operations here, right? So what is the operation you want to do? I want to insert data into the particular. See what I'm doing, I'm reading these two values and I want to insert here, right? Addition of these two numbers should be inserted into here, right? So let us do that operation now. For that, declare the variables. Int number 1. So this is integer, and now number 2. This is also integer, and so what is the next one? Int sum. This should be also integer. Now let's double click on Excel application scope, and here what I want to do now, what I did so far, I just read the data, and what I want to do now, for each data row. So for each data row is an activity which is used to loop through the data table, because I have an what? I have a data table here. What is the data table? DT addition. So now what will happen? This for each data row, each and every time, which is going to bring the which is going to bring one row by row. So what is the first row here? So which is going to bring the first row like this. So if I get first row, what I want to do, after getting the first row, I want to assign some, I want to read and assign to values, right? So what is the first here? So number 1. You want to read the number 1, right? First of all. So for this I have declared a variable int number 1 here. So what we have to do? So row of, so column name. What is the column name here? Number 1. So which is going to throw an exception, right? So by default it has come up with the string. So this should be, okay, I'm just clicking here for better understanding, dot to string. So before this one, right? So click OK. Still it is throwing in an error. So what is the error? Since this is integer, right? This is integer, this should be converted into integer again. How we have to create this? Let's go back here, home, convert. So we have convert dot to int 32 of, that's all. Click OK. The same thing I want to do it for number 2 also, right? The same thing I want to do it for number 2 also. So int the number 2 here. What is this? Convert dot to int 32, in the sense like it is a bit processor. If it's 32-bit processor, so we have to use like this. And here, so what is the value? Row of. So what is the column name? So number 2 dot to string. Now I just read the values. First row you will come here. From first row I'm reading the first value. So what is the first value here? So 1, I have stored it into number 1 integer number 1 variable, and read this number 2 value, and I have stored it into one more thing. So after do this, so what I want to do, I want to perform the addition of two numbers. So what is this? Int sum equals to int number 1 plus int number 2. Now I have done it. Now what is the next step?
To the output.
This output I want to write it into
Data
right
table.
cell, right? So where you want to do? So right cell activity. So in which cell you want to insert the value? Go back here. So where you want to insert first of all? C2, right? In C2 I want to insert this. Can we hardcode this value here? Can I hardcode like this? We should not hardcode, because if you give hardcode, what will happen each and every time the value is going to be overwrite into the C2 cell itself. So these two should be dynamically, we have to change it. So here before that one, so what is the value you want to push it here? Int sum, right? Int sum dot to string. Now this instead of C2, right? This 2 should not be hard coded. For that, we create one integer counter value. Int counter integer. This let us always be an outside scope. So by default, I'm just, because my cell start with 2, right? I have given default value is 2. Now here what I want to do, instead of this one, right, 2, I have to pass this. So what is this? Int counter dot to string. Now, so what is this here? This always should be dynamically changed. How this is going to be changed dynamically? So we have to increment by 1 each and every time after finishing operation. So what is the next step here? Here int counter equals to int counter plus 1. Now default int counter is 2. So next time what will happen? So this is going to be increment by 1. C3 will come here. Then increment by 1. C4, C5, C6 until my rows is going to be freezed out from the data table. So very simple. I'm repeating again here. I'm reading the data entire row. I'm just what I'm trying to say here. I just want to read the data from the row. How we have to read the data row? I'm just for each data row, it's an activity. So by using that, I can read the data from data row by row. So first time row 0 will come. So in the row, I mean to say the row 1 here. So what will happen? I'm reading the data from the row. How we are going to read the data? So we have to row of column name. Then you have number 1 dot to string. So because why I'm just converting here, convert dot to in. So this is an integer variable, so make sure that this should have been converted into integer. The same thing, I have read the value number 2 here, and I'm just push it into number 2 variable, and finally I have done it here like in sum. So this is addition of 2 numbers, and just store it into one more variable. Finally, this is going to push it into one cell, right? So we have a desired activity called right cell concept. So from the Excel scope, so I have been dragged and dropped here, and this I should not hard code the exact cell value, because cell is keep on dynamically changing, right? C2, C3, C4. So obviously what will happen? For that I have declared one counter variable here. So by default I have assigned to 2, since I just start C2 cell. So C2 had to start from C2 cell, right? So I just this 2 first of all I have initialized, and the 2 should be incremented by 1 plus 1 plus 1 until your rows is going to be complete from the data table. Now we could see here after this. So what I'm doing, this right cell is activity which is going to push it into which sheet. So I want to push it into where? In the sheet 1. So where, in which cell you want to insert this? So this is the cell I have defined here in the C2 by default. And what is the value you want to insert this? So sum of these two number I want to insert this. And finally, I'm just incrementing by 1. So why we are incrementing? The next row comes into the picture, right? By the time this should be become C3, so that I have been here, I mean to say that I have incremented by 1 for the encounter variable. Let's quickly save this and run it.
Mohan,
Yeah.
Mohan,
Yes, yes.
instead of running, can you please debug it?
Sorry.
Instead of running, can you debug it?
Okay, I just stopped this.
Okay.
Tell me, Bala.
Yeah, instead of running, can you please debug it?
Debug.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just debugging this. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It's got started. Data range reading executing started. Okay. Now I'm here. Fine. So I'm just reading the value from the date read range. So read range is done. After read range, right? For each row execute started. So in the locals, here we have to see all the values. So what is the on the fly, how the values are changing also we have to see. Now what is the next step? I'm just coming inside of this one. Here we go. So first step is executed, right? What is this? Int number. So what is the number? Int number 1. This got injected into the first variable. You guys are following me, right?
Yeah, Mohan. Yeah,
Okay.
Mohan.
Yeah. I'm just clicking next one. So step into, here we go. Integer number 2. It was 0. Now it has become 1. Now I'm just, what I'm doing, I'm just going to, I'm step into the next step. Here we go. In sum, what is the in sum? Previously it was 0. Now it has become 2. I'm just moving to the step into see cell value. So cell is automatically coming to this. What is the cell here? 2. And what is the text I'm just going to print here? 2. Right? In sum, I'm just printing on top of it. Now click step into. So what is this here? Int counter value 2, right? It was. Now let us see what is the value. So int counter has become 3 now, right?
Yeah.
Now click step into. Before that one, let us see. Here is got printed. Clear?
Yes.
Now first row got printed. The same steps are going to be repeated again here. Now step into. So it is keep on running. So for each row is nothing but what? It is especially designed for data table. So step into. Now number 1. So what is the number 1 now? It has become 2. Step it is overridden. And what is the number 2? Number 2 is also overridden. So previously in sum is what? 2. just keep on overriding the existing values. Now become, what is this? Int sum. I want to be, so what is int sum now? This became 4. Then step into int sum. I have done it. So what is the next step? I'm just writing into the particular cell. So what is the text here I'm writing? Now see, cell is dynamically incremented by 1 and it has become 3 and the value is 4. I'm just going to insert into this and I have done it. So I'm moving to this step. This is incremented. So what is int counter? It's become 4. Then before that, you just see this got printed here, right?
Yeah, that's enough.
So this is how it is going to complete for entire rows. I'm just giving step over here. So this is the 7th one, incremented. So I'm just going with, this is the text is nothing but 14. I'm just printing, incremented by 1. You able to hear me?
Yes, Mohan.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Mohan. Yes, Mohan.
Now I have printed the values here. See, it is in detail step. We have seen each and every step-by-step process. See, this is I have printed here. Along with this, I have printed the values in Excel sheet also. Any queries here? That's all about the Excel reading and writing concept. Any queries?
Mohan, can you go to the project? Yeah, okay. Can you go to that? Yeah. Can you come to this? If you don't,
Clear,
can
right?
you scroll? Yeah, yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
Any queries here? So we will see, right, workbook Excel in upcoming session. Okay. So where how what the differences between see right cell, right range. So we have to see right range activity also. Right range activity is nothing but writing data into particular in Excel sheet. That we will see with an upcoming sessions. Fine. So any queries apart from this one, so that we can wind up the session today. That's it for variables chapter. So we'll move on to the next chapter is what I'm this. Next chapter is arguments, I think. So we are going to so pretty much covered for this. Now tomorrow we are going to talk about arguments and import namespace. Along with we'll start the control flow. So any queries so far?
No.
Bala, I'm going to go to you
One thing.
for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, so that we can handle this.
Tomorrow, can we have the class a little bit late? Is it fine for you? Or,
Could you please bit louder, Bala? I'm not hearing you.
yeah, tomorrow can we have the class a little bit later?
Daytime, right?
Somewhat
I think
around.
that is actually, I'll let you know, Bala. Tomorrow we have a class. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I'm just going to hometown. Okay,
Okay.
I'll at this weekends, right? So,
Yeah, that's what also I'm also plan.
huh? Huh?
That's what. Tomorrow I will be on. I think early morning. This time I will be on bus. I guess. Okay, I will be on the way to my hometown.
Okay.
So please suppose if we have a classes, can we have around 9 hours, 8 or 9?
No,
Suppose if we have means.
yeah, I have to tomorrow. I have to go to this sports day function is there. I have to go there, and straight away I have to go to
Oh,
home. So we'll do
okay,
one thing.
okay.
I'll tell you the timings, right? If I have a free time in my home, right, hometown, I'll be connecting with you, or else I'll be connecting from Monday.
Okay, no problem. And meanwhile, can you ask Manu to share
Definitely,
the
definitely. I'm going to
videos?
share with you all the last 3 days course. I mean, videos. He's going to share with you guys. Fine.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah,
So that's what.
so yeah, on Saturday, Sundays we can just see, and if anything we want,
So
and we can
just
practice it.
you have to practice. You until or unless, right? If you're not practicing,
Yeah,
so
yes,
no
yes,
use for attending other class. So make sure that you
yes,
practice.
Um,
yes.
You will get more queries. Yeah. Go ahead, Venkat.
Mohan, one question I have regarding the bot. See, I have created 3 bots. For example, I have 3 different email folders. Each
Mm-hmm.
bot is going to take care of mails coming in a folder. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so each 3 bot is going to perform a different task.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am scheduling a bot one every 5 minutes.
Okay.
So every 5 minutes, it's go and check the folder. If any new mail come, take and perform the operation and shuts
Mm-hmm.
down.
Okay.
And I mean, for example, this first bot I've scheduled every 3 minutes once, and the
Mm-hmm.
second bot I've scheduled every 6 minutes once. Third bot I've scheduled every 10 minutes once. Here, the time based on timing I've scheduled the bots. It's go and perform the task. If there is no task, then it shuts down. This
Yeah.
here, can I create any dependency kind of factor? If bot one, for example, starts at third minute of the hour and there is
Mm-hmm.
no mail, though immediately it shuts down. So that means a bot one has completed successfully. So can I create here, if bot one completed successfully, immediately bot two has to start, irrespective of the time. Is there a way to set up a such in the orchestrator
No,
or in the
we
studio?
don't have any other. We cannot create dependency between the bots here because we have scheduled, right. So whenever
Hmm.
the time triggered, automatically bot is going to process that one. We cannot stop that bot.
Okay.
Like
So,
for all the 3 things, right? For all the three
mm,
things, you are using the same bot. Okay.
mm,
So
mm,
while running first bot, right? If you schedule also, what will happen? It is going to be wait
mm.
for some time. If you overlapping between the times, right? So it is going to
Okay.
wait until unless the previous bot got released. But here,
Okay.
no, we are creating in different time schedule, right? So no problem, we can create it. But the problem is we cannot finalize, say, what one got completely completed or not. That we have to
Depend.
handle all the code only. So in the UiPath
Cool.
code only we have to handle. So make sure that, let's say example, the bot one is going to read the data from the first inbox. Okay, that means that some count, right, in the particular
Okay.
path. You may know, like, but I mean, you mean to say that you are reading all the data from, like, example, attachments. We have some attachments reading from the respective mails. So this attachment you are going to push it into particular physical path. So what is the
Okay.
second part? Second bot has to do, it is kickstart the bot. It is going to fetch whether do we have data in the particular location or not. If it is data in the particular location, only bot 2 has to
Oh,
perform, or else we can stop the bot 2 also, right? The same thing you can do it for the third bot also. But here we cannot maintain the dependency between the bots here. These
okay.
are right? All are individual executions.
Mohan.
Yeah, Bala.
Yeah, whether we can set a flag, right, and head of the bot execution support is flag one, then the bot next on the data. If suppose the attachment is there in the location, we can start the next activity in the bot, right, without scheduling it.
Without scheduling. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
same bot itself, we can do it all these three operations.
So yeah. So and one more thing, you spoke about that UiPath code, right? So you will be writing on .NET, right? .NET or another environment, any other environment.
.NET only. We are writing using .NET.
Okay. So here, UiPath is understanding C# or VB.NET. So other either is both.
It is going to understand VB.NET or VB, all the code which is going to understand. Even Java
Oh,
also is going to understand.
okay, fine. Okay, okay. And
You got
one
Venkat?
more thing, Mohan. Venkat?
Yes, yes.
Fine. Yeah, go ahead, Bala.
Yeah. So is it possible to communicate? Is there is it possible? I'm not sure. Is it possible to communication happen between two bots, or each bot will run independently?
No, I'm not getting Bala. Sorry. Can you
No.
please repeat?
Suppose I am creating two bots. Okay. And it's
Okay.
running parallelly at the two time. Is there whether these two bots can be communicated within each other at the runtime?
No. Parallel execution. So far we didn't try parallel execution of the particular bot. Here
Okay,
bot one is running. It is separate transaction. Bot two is also separate transaction. Here the parallel execution. So far we didn't run actually.
okay,
So, so at the time, only one bot can run on one system, right?
Yes.
Parallel
Only one bot
will.
can run on one machine.
Okay, 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 okay.
Now I'm speaking about the
Yeah.
two servers. Two
Again,
servers.
new concept came. I heard that it is like no scheduling from the UiPath itself. So you don't need to schedule from the orchestrator. That okay? If I found, I'm just going to that. I'll go through that one, and I'll come back to you. Okay. So how we can do scheduling dynamically, right? Here is everything is if you're scheduling from orchestrator, it is like a static scheduling. But I want to schedule it dynamically as you required, right? So one bot one is completed, then only I have to start the bot two. Got it? So this one, they have introduced one new concept in 2018. So let me check that one and I'll get back to you, Venkat. But I'm
No,
not
that
sure
case
about
we need one person to kickstart the bot, right? Dynamically.
dynamically.
Then
Scheduling.
no,
I'm
yeah,
talking
but scheduling. But again, it should be scheduled by person, right? Human, right?
no, that everything we are going to write it in the code itself.
Code. Okay, okay, okay,
In the UiPath, from
okay,
UiPath. That is what I heard.
okay,
But I'm not
okay,
sure. We have to test that one.
okay, okay, okay. Fine.
Fine, guys. I think that's it for
Yeah.
today. Have a good day.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.